I love Ethiopian wolves, and I want to save them from going extinct. And I'm sure many of you here are also passionate about them, or at least curious about them because you are here today. I'm happy that you choose to come to my talk because I really want to tell you why the Ethiopian wolf is so unique. And even though very few people has had the chance to see one in the flesh, the Ethiopian wolves inspire people all over the world that are helping to protect them because they know that the world won't be the same without the Ethiopian wolf. And there is nothing like the Ethiopian wolf. And little I knew about them when I came to Ethiopia for the first time in 1997. Then the Ethiopian wolves became the topic of my doctoral research, and I've been at the core of the Ethiopian Wolf Conservation Program since. And I discovered many things throughout these years about the mysteries of this wolf that lives in Africa, only in the highlands of Ethiopia, and in no zoo anywhere in the world. And the mysteries of a country like no other that has its unique alphabet and ancient calendar and is the home of coffee. So I want you to discover these mysteries and to know why and how we can protect and we can save the Ethiopian wolf. So I'm from Argentina. I study biology in Bariloche, in North Patagonia. This is 12,000 kilometers away from where the Ethiopian wolves live. And who would have known that day when we were riding the horses after a severe storm that I will work to protect the Ethiopian wolves? And only in March, I was riding a similarly stocky horse in Ethiopia, in Ras Dashen, the highest peak at 5,200 meters. And a storm of ice covered everything in a white mantle. And to me, that image was very emblematic. I couldn't take a photo because I was freezing. But my beloved Andes and the highlands of Ethiopia have a lot in common. And in this small world of ours, here we are together in California because we also have something in common, and it's this passion that makes us care for animals that are so rare and mysterious like the Ethiopian wolf. And I chose to be in Patagonia rather than in other more prestigious universities because I wanted to be close to what is my source of passion, and is wilderness. Vast, wild places full of animals and plants and waters and rivers and nature running its own course. For me, nature has been a source of well-being and a source of knowledge. And to many of us, nature has an intrinsic value. And protecting nature might be our key for sustainable and fair societies in the future. So we all value nature and we value wildlife. And we value wildlife maybe from different points of view and according to our experiences. So today I want to talk about why I value the Ethiopian wolf, and that comes from a point of view of a scientist, from the point of view of a conservationist, and from the point of view of the Ethiopians that live with the Ethiopian wolves, and they see nature through a different lens. We might differ in our values, but there is one thing that is crucial. We will only care for what we know. And so learning about the Ethiopian wolf and teaching about the Ethiopian wolf has been one of our main activities. I didn't know much about Ethiopian wolves because they were not in the textbooks when I studied in Argentina. So the trip of discovery for me was fascinating, and I want to take you through that, and I want to introduce you to the Ethiopian wolves. A wolf in Africa? Yes. The ancestor of the Ethiopian wolf colonized the highlands through land bridges in the Red Sea some 100,000 years ago. That was the end of the glaciation, and the colonizers found a place with vast moorlands and grasslands full of rodents. Yeah, so Ethiopian wolves eat almost exclusively rodents. This one here is a giant mole rat. Weighing around a kilo is a most desirable meal, and 10 times the size of a grass rat, which is more of an appetizer. So actually, many of the prey of the Ethiopian wolf are as rare as the Ethiopian wolf or more. For example, the giant mole rat is a fantastic creature. I know. With the eyes at the top of their head, they can spot birds of prey when they go in paranoid bursts, gathering food around the entrances to their subterranean homes, and they live only in the Bale Mountains. Ethiopian wolves and giant mole rats and many other species evolved in Ethiopia in isolation because the Ethiopian mountains are not communicated with any other mountains. So they found special solutions to the problems of living in these landscapes that are open and where summer and winter happens in one day. And that makes them unique. There is nothing like an Ethiopian wolf. And for Ethiopian wolf, family life is very important. But the reasons why this is the case is not the same for other social carnivores. For example, group hunting. If you are a rodent catcher, you don't want other wolves around you disturbing your prey. And actually, Ethiopian wolves develop very interesting techniques to catch rodents unaware. And some of them more like the stalking of cats, actually. So Ethiopian wolves are good. It's good to be alone for hunting, but they are very social, and you may wonder why. Only the dominant female in a pack will breed, but everyone else will help to raise their litter. The pups go out of the den when they are 3 weeks old, and when they start weaning, other animals will bring food to the den for all the pups. And when everyone else is foraging, someone stays by the den babysitting. So the dominant pair see the burden of parenthood diminish because there is so much help. However, larger packs do not have more pups, or the pups fare better. So you wonder, why are they helping? They are highly social, and they spend a lot of time greeting and playing. And they will do this in the evening before they go to sleep, and then in the morning before they go out patrolling. In a line with the dominant female at the front, they will cover all the boundaries in the park of the territory every day, scent marking. This is the communal activity that has more benefits for the Ethiopian wolves. With so little space left and so much competition for them, they occupy every inch of Afro-Alpine habitat, and they form a tessellated mosaic of territories. So this is a good thing. Being in families for this is good. And when they go scent marking, they also pass on a lot of information in the form of chemical codes, like the hormonal profile of every individual. So it's interesting that in one place, all the packs synchronize the mating. Over a short period of time, of 2 weeks, all the action happen. And sometimes some sneaky mating with neighboring males to ensure a bit of genetic mixture. Because of that, otherwise, inbreeding could be a problem. So let me take you back to 1997. At that time, the Ethiopian Wolf Conservation Program was a small group of people with a common passion. Claudio Siliero, in the photo there, who was the reason why I went to Ethiopia and soon became my husband, he had a mission to save the Ethiopian wolves from a horrible disease that in 1992 killed most of the animals that he knew by name and he had followed for 4 years. That was very shocking, and he had to leave Ethiopia and couldn't come for a few years because of the political situation. But he sent some funds, and his loyal field assistant, Idris Ebu, continued the field work during that hard time. And many of the people in that photo are still working for EWCP, and Idris Ebu is now the project manager. So our family grew, and EWCP grew, and today is a fantastic group of some 50 people, counting the horse keepers, the veterinary assistant, the education officers, the wolf monitors, the wolf ambassadors. And they are working across all the species range in 6 populations. When I started working in Ethiopia, we didn't know much about them outside Bale. And by the way, the black areas are the only areas that are suitable for Ethiopian wolves. So as soon as that was safe, we visited all the other mountain ranges, and we found wolves in almost all of them, small populations, but they were present. So today we work in every place where the Ethiopian wolves are present. That makes me very proud and hopeful, but the truth is that the challenges are many and testing. So I want to tell you today about 2 main challenges that we are facing and how these are turning into opportunities for more effective conservation. This is an Ethiopian wolf killed by rabies. We have a dedicated team of wolf monitors that follow some 30 families, and they will very quickly pick up when there is a carcass in the cases when, as soon as domestic dogs infect Ethiopian wolf with rabies or canine distempers, and these are the domestic dogs that live around Ethiopian wolves. When that happens, we start detecting carcasses very soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, many can be found over a short period of time. And this is very distressing. And when that happens, we collect samples, we determine the cause of the disease, we get permissions, and off go our EWCP team to vaccinate the Ethiopian wolves. So in the lifetime of the program, we have detected 8 of these outbreaks, and in 5 occasions, we vaccinated them. And this may sound like a disheartening story, but it's also difficult to know what difference we made with our interventions. But really, without vaccinating some 4,000 domestic dogs around the Ethiopian wolves every year, and without the education and the vaccination of the Ethiopian wolves, we are sure that these outbreaks would have been more frequent and more lethal. So the battle against the disease is not over, and we are not hiding out. So over the last year, we worked very hard to develop a plan that would allow a more sustainable solution, and also with the involvement of the better engagement of all the stakeholders. The first thing is to entice the political will. So this year, we gathered together with the main stakeholders, and we revised actually our strategic plan for the Ethiopian wolf conservation, which was done in 2011. We reviewed the plan, and we were happy to see that 50% of the priority actions will be doing good progress, with EWCP leading much of it. But we also realized that unless there is an integrated plan to protect the diseases, to control the diseases, the Ethiopian wolves will not be secured. So at the end of this meeting, the government committed to this plan, and the plan includes continued vaccinating domestic dogs, moving domestic dogs from protected area, but also an oral vaccination campaign that can prevent the wolves getting infected in the first place. We are ready to go. We are very happy. We worked 3 years testing a vaccine for Ethiopian wolves, an oral vaccine for Ethiopian wolves. We identify what is the bait that the Ethiopian wolves prefer, and we could say that the vaccine is safe and efficient. So we are ready to go. And this is how an Ethiopian wolf can be vaccinated by himself. This is from a camera trap. So oral vaccination is less stressful. We don't have to handle the wolves. It's cheaper and easier to scale up. So we are really looking for funds to start this fantastic campaign. Based on our science, we target 40% of all the wolves. If 40% of the wolves are vaccinating, we can prevent outbreaks in a 95% chances of preventing them. So that is where we are going now. This is Delanta. This is a small range, and it's very close to my heart since I first visited with Claudio in 1998. In August last year, the wolf ambassadors, which are members of the local communities that are our eyes and ears in the remote places, they told us of 3 carcasses that they had found of Ethiopian wolves. In the past, we know of diseases in the Valley Mountains. This is the first time that we are able to detect it in other populations. As soon as we determined that rabies was the cause, we vaccinated a surviving pair. And this is all that is left of what we knew was a population of some 20 wolves, and we are keeping a hopeful eye on them. Disease can easily put a population into the extinction risk, and particularly if they are very small. And actually, the habitat loss is the main problem. It's the problem underlying all these other problems. In the history of the project, we have witnessed 2 local extinctions. In areas that became too small to sustain more than a small group of Ethiopian wolves. It's not only agriculture that is encroaching into the mountains, but also the land of the wolf is communal land that has been traditionally used for grazing livestock, to collect firewood that people use for heating, for cooking, and for lighting, for everything, and collecting grasses that it can be sold also in the market. So every effort is needed to protect the Afro-Alpine. If there is no Afro-Alpine habitat, there are no Ethiopian wolves, and no other action we can take will save them. It'd be interesting to visualize that all the habitat of the Ethiopian wolves will fit within the Yosemite National Park. So this is small, I know. And it's a bit depressing, but again, there are good news, because across the board there is an interest to protect Afro-Alpine areas. So now 80% of all that area is protected in some form. This is another thread, sorry, I forgot. Roads everywhere, new roads. So national parks are expanding. The regions are creating new protected areas, and also the communities are getting organized and creating their own community-based conservation areas. And so there is hope, but of course there is not always the financial and technical know-how. So EWCP is working in all these new protected areas. We are building capacity and promoting sustainable uses of their resources. Protecting the Ethiopian wolf is not just protecting the most rare carnivore in Africa. It's protecting an ensemble of endemic species, like these beautiful species that they all exist only in Ethiopia. And also resources that are fundamental, not just for the wolves, but for millions of Ethiopians and far away. Because these are sources of water that create many big rivers. One of them is the Blue Nile, one of the main tributaries of the Nile. So we cannot just witness as the wolves of the Lanta disappear. So we are convinced that translocation of the animals, moving Ethiopian wolves to rescue populations that are very small or to rescue populations that are declining, can save the Ethiopian wolf, and it will help to protect these fantastic environments. For example, Mount Choke is the main catchment for the Blue Nile, and this is where the conditions for the reintroduction of Ethiopian wolves are better. So I think that we can rescue small populations, and that is something we are ready to do. We have a plan for this vision, and it has many steps. We need to survey the habitat for the condition. We need some modeling to see how different translocations may affect the source population or the population that receive the wolves. And we need to work with the people to see if their tolerance of Ethiopian wolves or other wildlife is ready, or if we can promote it. So all of this achievement wouldn't have been possible without this fantastic group of people. And it's sad that some of them cannot be here, but having a visa to come to the USA is not getting any easier. So I'm representing all of them here, and I wish one day they are coming. Our leader is Eric Bedan, there with the binoculars. He has the expertise and the knowledge to coordinate a project that I think you can imagine is very complex logistically and technically. Alu Hussein, he was in that first photo of EWCP. He's our senior monitor, and he's a source of inspiration for everyone, and particularly the new monitors that are learning and following his footsteps. Fekadu Lema, he's EWCP #1 fan, and since he was young, he insisted he wanted to be part of EWCP. And now he is the coordinator of all the North Ethiopia operations. And for the last 3 years, he's been implementing innovative micro-enterprises with the local communities that include planting wild grasses, keeping bees, or cooperatives that produce and sell fuel-saving stoves. And he's a master of public relations. Guebeyo is from the younger generation. He is now controlling all the monitoring operations in North Ethiopia. And he recently had the opportunity, with WCN support, to receive a diploma in conservation practice in the University of Oxford. And then he went into doing a master. He studied how the Ethiopian wolves adapt their lifestyle when they are forced to coexist with many people, livestock, and dogs. We want to support EWCP staff to grow in their professions. This is the photo of Girma Shete. I took this photo before he defended his PhD in Leiden University in the Netherlands. He achieved this huge milestone in his life with the support of EWCP and WCN as well. We really care about our staff, and really securing their jobs and a fair financial deal for them is at the core of our desires, and securing that core funding is always a challenge. And I didn't have time to tell you, but working in the mountains is really hard. It's not always comfortable. So high quality tents and clothes, field camps, and reliable cars, they are all needs that are recurrent and essential. So I salute the Ethiopian Wolf Conservation Program team for their passion, WCN, and all the others that so generously are helping us so that we can continue doing what we are doing, and also trying new things to save the Ethiopian wolf, because together we can save the Ethiopian wolf. Thank you.